Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this weekly Ag Weather Update brought to you by the Farm Credit Associations of North Carolina. Over the last 7 days, we can see that most of the heaviest precipitation was concentrated here along parts of the south into the southeast, right into this corridor. And a lot of that had to do with the very slow progression of Nicholas, which eventually stalled out over parts of Louisiana here. And while the heavy rain did spread to the east, it slowly moved a bit to the north. And as a result of that, much of North Carolina was on the drier side over the last 7 days. We had some scattered storms. Remember, we did see the eventual formation of Tropical Storm Odette. We got some of the scattered storms out of that, but we're not talking about much rainfall at all across North Carolina here over the last week. And that actually extends back a little bit farther here. What I'd like to show you next, this is a map that looks back at the month-to-date precipitation by rank. So when you look at this, we're going again from September 1st to September the 19th, and you notice down here, in this climate reporting district in far southeastern parts of North Carolina, we're having the third driest start to September on record. Now, we're going to be approaching the equinox later on this week. Remember, equinox means equal night, and that's a day where the sun's rays are perpendicular at noon on the equator. And after that, we have fewer daylight hours than we do darkness. And as we go into our fall and winter time period, we need to see if we can kind of bring some of this moisture back up. I know harvest efforts are ongoing in this area, but we need to watch that carefully. A couple other things to point out. Much of the Midwest has got a really fast jump on harvest in places in through here, although we were wetter in parts of South Dakota. The Southern Plains very dry as well. Just another couple places to be on the lookout for here. But this quadrant has been extremely wet over the last several weeks and continues to be that way into the near future. Now, our temperature pattern coming up is going to be quite I don't know, jumpy is the word. It's going to be changing quite a bit. And so I don't expect to see this map looking much like this map as we progress toward the end of this month, where we have our hottest conditions over the southwest. That will likely stay true, but much of the rest of the eastern two-thirds of the United States is going to go on a bit of a wild ride here with temperatures coming up. I'll show you that in a few moments. But that just gives us perspective where we just recently have been, so we can put into better context where we are going. And where we're going is going to start with the tropics. So the latest update, this is the 8 a.m. Eastern update here from the National Hurricane Center. We do have Tropical Storm Peter, and then this was followed up by the naming of Rose over the weekend. And I'm sure there's some sort of baseball joke here somewhere, Pete Rose, but what I want you to be keeping an eye on is actually the system that's behind it. Now, right now, the National Hurricane Center is giving this one a 70% chance of developing. And the reason why is because the forecast, if we just look here where things are going, Peter is expected to go this direction, and Rose is expected to go toward the north. And whatever's developing here, we just saw this emerge on Sunday, but whatever's coming off the west coast of Africa could take a more southerly track. But there's a few things that tell me that this idea of having less than normal activity, at least through the next 10 plus days across the East Coast, why I don't think even that this system here has a chance at getting over toward the East Coast is because of what we see in the wind field across the Atlantic there. As you look, the subtropical high is way over here, almost to the Iberian Peninsula. And as we watch Rose and Peter, they're basically going to run up against, well, you see this front that's in place here, that's going to be Peter's problem. And I know it doesn't look like it, but there's another low that's developing here that's going to be moving into, eventually into the North Atlantic. And that'll be about the time that Rose is, well, let me try that again. Rose is ever even going to get over there. But the question is, that next system that's in through here, will it be contending with the next low pressure system that sweeps out this big front? And these fronts are just large protectors of the East Coast once you get later in the season. And we're right now going over to a pretty active time period to bring these fronts through the eastern part of the United States. So where's our precipitation coming from? Well, this map will give us an idea. We're going to be watching a series of low pressure systems move through the eastern Corn Belt. And as they do that, they're going to be bringing in their frontal boundaries into parts of the Carolinas. And as you note, this might be the last little kick of rain that we really need to just get us into fall. I know it's going to slow down any harvest effort that's going on right now, but getting just the moisture return is not a bad thing. So what do we see here? We do see a pretty broad area of picking up a ½ inch to 1.5 inches of rainfall, much higher amounts in the Appalachian Mountains. And the total precip here shown over the next 7 days, again, driven by 2 deep lows. And I'd like to show you those, okay? So this next map or animation is going to look at those troughs and ridges. And while this weekend into today we're underneath this larger ridge, take a look at this, okay? this trough sweeps into the eastern Corn Belt, and it's going to get kicked north by another one here. You ready? As we go forward through Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday, there it is. There's the first trough. Now, as that trough sits there and spins over Indiana and Ohio, watch this guy right here, okay? That one comes sweeping in behind it and tosses the lead wave out ahead of it into Quebec and Ontario, okay? Ontario here, Quebec there. And then it digs deep as well. And what that means is throughout this week, we got a few different chances of bringing in precip to our area. And this is also going to bring in some cooler weather, while the larger ridge in the west allows for a big rebound in temperatures to the west. And even as I take you out there to next Monday, getting into next Tuesday, you can see that the atmosphere really seems to, according to the European model, prefer some troughs off the west coast, ridging over the western United States, maybe encroaching on the Midwest, and more troughs in the Northeast. These are those troughs that are sweeping through that are preventing tropical systems like this from coming here straight into the Carolinas. Now, it's all about timing, but the reason why we just looked out at the next 10 days and didn't see a tropical system hitting the East Coast is primarily because of the timing of these troughs. What we worry about this time of year is big ridges to form here, and we do not have that. Okay, we do not have that in the forecast, because when large ridges form here and their flow comes around like that, tropical systems can come in off the Atlantic, they can come in out of the Caribbean or out of the Gulf, and then they target us in the Carolinas. So let me just take that off of there so that you know that's not what we've got coming. So what do we have coming? Well, I'm going to go to my high-res NAM model simulations to show you this. As we work our way through today on Monday, this is through midday, we have some scattered showers across the area, but most folks are going to miss out on this through much of the day on Monday. Notice, though, coming into this evening, over toward the Tennessee border and in South Carolina, we've got better chances of heavier rainfall. In fact, we've got some flood watches out in that particular area right now. Then as we work our way into the overnight hours and then into Tuesday, we now start to see that through midday Tuesday, run right straight through the middle part of the state up toward the Appalachian Mountains here in Virginia and West Virginia. That's going to be the corridor of potentially heaviest rain. Where we're wanting to deliver more rain is down here, where we had that dry district, and then eventually throughout the eastern part of North Carolina. So where are we? We're 1 p.m. on Tuesday. Let's just keep going through the day on Tuesday into Wednesday morning. This is early Wednesday morning. And now the first of those fronts starts to approach right here. So we have chances for rain through Wednesday, and then we're going to watch the development of this low right here in the Ohio River Valley for what it could do after that. So to see that, though, because the NAM model only runs out 60 hours, we got to switch over to the European. So we've watched through Monday into Tuesday and then into Wednesday. Let's stop it right here about Wednesday afternoon. This is the point where the low is forming right in here. That's where that kicker wave came down, shoving the first low to the north and develops the second one to the south. Now what we see is that on Wednesday through Wednesday evening, getting out to Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon and evening, we're going to continue to bring that frontal boundary through North Carolina, increasing our chances for rainfall. But as you notice, the early system brings most of its rain west. The second system brings the front through, but that's why we see a gradient east to west in terms of precip totals, much higher over to the west. But after that, okay, this is Thursday. This Thursday night. Take a look. That's through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can see overall the European model pulls into a drier pattern. And the reason for that is maybe best explained by looking here at this upper level height anomaly map. Now what that means is we look for troughs and ridges. Now if you see this, I've got you focused in on the North Pole, so I want you to see the whole flow of this. It's doing something like that around the North Pole. It's kind of cool. Ready? Ridge, ridge, ridge. Those are blocking up the pattern a bit. These troughs are keeping things open in the west. But the net effect of this, in fact, why don't we just zoom in here to North America and get a different view? There we go. When the flow comes over like this and digs into a trough, this time of year, that pattern leads to convergence in the jet stream. And that means air is coming together aloft, way up there. And what happens is it only has one place to go, and that's down. So we get subsidence and high pressure that forms underneath this. And that high pressure ultimately results in drier conditions. And to show you that, this is what we see for week 2. That gets you all the way out to the evening of October the 3rd. We're going to favor drier conditions into week 2 because the ridge rebuilds over the central and western United States. Okay, so that's our near-term look on precipitation. Let's flip this over to temperatures, and then we'll get to the longer term. I mentioned you're going to go on a bit of a ride. Ready? We're looking at today near normal temperatures. Highs right around 80, maybe over toward the coast, a little warmer than that. You can find the front. You don't have to be a trained meteorologist to see that, do you? Look at that. Now what happens is from Monday into Tuesday, that front progresses east. We're going to have some cooler weather here from cloud cover. Remember, out ahead of it, that was all out ahead of it. Cooler weather due to cloud cover, warmer on the coast where it's going to be drier. But by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the first front sweeps through. So we're going to start off the week in the 80s and finish the week in the low to mid 70s. But the bigger ridge rebuilds to the west by the weekend. And so that means we're going to return towards some normal temperatures here while warmth is kind of staged over here to our west. Question is, does it move toward us? Well, over the next 5 days, the 5 days that follow that, day 5 through 10, we do see near normal temperatures. We're not looking at excessively warm temperatures, but the heat is coming back into the west and into the southern plains. So that flow pattern, remember doing something like this, it's going to give us a better chance at seeing normal temperatures than well above normal. And from there, let's go out there and look at the day 10 through 15. Again, the jet stream pattern, as you saw it, was doing something like that, right? Actually, I should make it a little more amplified. It's doing something a bit more like this. So that's why we see chances for being near normal to cooler than normal as we finish the month of September and get into the month of October. Now, speaking of the month of October, I'm going to stretch this out. I'm going to tell you something. I look at all the different components to this. I look at what's going on in the Arctic. I look at what's going on in the Pacific. I look at the MJO. I look at La Nina. I look at all of it. And when I put it all together, I'm going to tell you the combined signal of everything is a bit muddy right now. And what's going on here is the models are tending to favor some persistence in the longer range forecast. In other words, what they started with in week 2, they're just trying to keep through week 3, week 4, week 5, and week 6. And what I'm showing you now is the precipitation anomalies, so differences from normal, from September 25th to October 25th. Now, overall, that same region I said we have upper level atmospheric convergence and higher pressure, the models just aren't letting go of it. And they're kicking any would-be tropical system, as you notice, out over the Atlantic. So the net effect of that is to give you a forecast between the 25th of September and the 25th of October that favors drier conditions. And as you can imagine, it also favors warmer conditions. So this is our latest update from the European model. Now, for those of you that are subscribed, you know that in my daily reports, I'll provide you with the updates to this when I get the new ones late tonight, so you'll be able to see that. And again, I'll post a link for that at the end should you want to subscribe for free. But the idea here is that the models are hung up on persistence, and they are not, I repeat, they are not finding any strong signal to latch onto that would suggest a pattern change. And because of that, it lowers the confidence of us, meteorologists, in finding those same kind of things. Okay? But what are we also watching? Well, La Nina is important to be paying attention to this fall. We've seen more cool water emerge here. And as of late, take a look at this. The Southern Oscillation Index in August through September has risen. Now, just to remember, the Southern Oscillation Index needs to be above 7 to consider the base state of the atmosphere to be La Nina-like over the Pacific. And it's there now. It's way up here with an average of almost, we're well above, we're 10, 11. We're stuck up here at this point. Now, that means that this La Nina is going to continue to develop. But will it be anything like last fall's La Nina? The answer to that is no. I don't expect it to be that strong. But it's going to continue to be one of the more dominant factors affecting our time, our forecast time period moving up here into fall. But in the near term, which we come back to these maps here, some of this dryness is going to be corrected, which is good. But our temperatures are really going to go on a bit of a roller coaster. So I don't expect major deviations from normal when you average all that together. But remember, you average out a bunch of hills, you get flat land. That's what we're talking about here. We're going to see quite a bit of swing in our temperatures over the near term here. So here again is the forecast over the next 10 days in South America. We're just kind of adding up the rainfall. Now, what I want you to remember is Mato Grosso is here. We need about 2 inches of rainfall to really get going. Mato Grosso do Sul, and this is southern Brazil down here. So I'll put a P over Paraná. That's a big state producing a lot of corn and soybeans. And then down here is Rio Grande do Sul. Now, Brazil's eastern growing area, right in through here, part of it, Goiás and Tocantins, which are here, Goiás South, Tocantins North, they're going to be getting some decent rains. But the rapid planting progress that can happen when the rains arrive early just isn't in the cards just yet. So we're going to have to watch this carefully as things progress forward. I have quite a bit of evidence, though, that planters are rolling and they're trying to get moving fast. And there are no indications right now that this is going to be as dry as it was in 2020, which, remember, was the driest on record. Okay, so now with that, I'll stop. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again next Monday. Thank you.